Our national debt will soon pass $35 trillion. That is 35 marked with 12 zeros. Yet both Democrats and Republicans continue spending money America doesn't have. Both sides have earmarked pet projects for their districts, billions of dollars, in fact. And joining us this morning to break down the very latest is Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. Good morning to you, sir. Tell us about your investigation and also what you found when it comes to some of those projects.
So in Congress, there's a self-styled fiscal conservative caucus called the Freedom Caucus. They were founded in 2015 expressly to stop Washington, D.C. politicians from overspending and bankrupting the country. But when we did an audit of earmarks just recently, incredibly, we found 22 members of that caucus on the naughty list. Jan, they had earmarked 215 projects for a grand total of $1 billion of our money, all of it borrowed against the national debt, for their earmarked projects. Now, those members, quite obviously, those caucus members are cross-dressing as fiscal conservatives. They're better at breaking their promises to the American people than stopping spending. Now, that caucus, it's a secret list of membership. We relied on the nonpartisan, highly respected Pew Research organization to come up with the list for our earmark study.
Yeah, and as you said, this is not just on the Democratic side. This is also on the GOP side with some members who think, why shouldn't they also get help for their districts? Give us some examples.
So some of the examples of these Freedom Caucus earmarks, nearly $200,000 went for electronic and magnetic shark repellent. That was down at Florida Rep. Greg Steube. You've got $500,000 going for an elevator at the birthplace of the Country Music Museum in Virginia. You've got $500,000 going to Roanoke College, also in Virginia, for medical equipment. A part of that medical equipment is a synthetic cadaver. Jan, that's a fake corpse. They should buy their own fake corpses. You got $20 million going for an upgrade of Baltimore Avenue in Ocean City, Maryland. This is U.S. Rep. Andy Harris, Republican. The construction got started on the estimate of $20 million. Actual costs were $40 million. Construction was stopped. He earmarked the difference, $20 million of our money, federal money, into that local road construction project. We're paying for it.
Adam, in some instances, this is also a result of other federal bills like the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that did not include some important projects. So talk about how this affects Texas and Louisiana, for instance.
So there's a backlog of the Department of Defense and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers projects. And so reps in Texas and Louisiana, even like House Speaker Mike Johnson, they're taking it upon themselves to do hundreds of millions of dollars worth of earmarks on these projects into their districts. So they're circumventing Congress. You know, these projects didn't pass muster in all-time record high spending out of Congress. So they're doing an end run around the normal budgeting process. So rather than reforming, rather than putting these projects through the budget process, they're doing it on their own. And by opening that door, then you get the 8 members of the squad. They earmarked nearly $250 million on 215 projects. And the establishment in both parties has driven a bus through earmarks, 16,000 of them over the course of the last 2 years for $32 billion.
Yeah, I was looking at some of which you mentioned, the squad, the 8 progressive Democrats that earmarked tens of millions of dollars as well, including, $1.5 million to build special grocery stores and education facilities. This is from Congresswoman Cori Bush. You've got Congressman Greg Caesar, who's got $1 million for the San Antonio College Empowerment Center. So there's all kinds of earmarks across the board for a majority of members on Congress. Why is this allowed? What can be done to get rid of earmarks when you now have both sides that are benefiting from this?
Jan, we need to close the cookie jar. There's no dessert left when the national debt is set to cross $35 trillion. And every 100 days, we're adding an extra $1 trillion to the national debt. So regular people, we get it. We got a petition at OpenTheBooks.com, and tens of thousands of people have signed it. Republicans for the past 3 years have taken secret votes to join Democrats to bring back earmarks. We need a public vote to call on House Speaker Mike Johnson to have an up or down vote in this election year. In the well of the House, we need to see who's in and who's out on earmarks.
CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Great seeing you on this Friday. Hope you have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you, Jan.